All right. Okay, so how's it going? We're yeah, gonna do a video today. Um, can you tell I don't rehearse these things at all before I get started? So this is making comics. I told you I wanted to do a series about making comics and my process of making comics and what goes into that. So let's get started. I've got this is a notebook, not a sketchbook. Um, Lined paper. I use it to take all sorts of notes in and stuff like that. Usually when I have a comic idea or rough ideas for anything else, I just jot it down in here. And one thing I think about keeping a notebook that's really important is having a cool pen that's fun to use. This is a Cull Sport. As you can see, it's just like this compact little thing. Pretty cool, but it's a fountain pen. Just screws together like that. And it looks tiny, but when you pop it together, it's a good size, really comfortable. Just takes ink cartridges, like that one there. Blue ink, just because that's what I have. So cool pen, important. If you're going to be writing a lot, having a writing utensil that's fun to use is really important. So when I take notes for comics, I kind of just jot it out. I think of it as like almost like a rough script. And just kind of like go through the scenes, and like sometimes I put in a lot of detail, sometimes I put in a little detail, but this is the Cull comic, and that's obviously not going to be the actual name, but the main character in the comic is named Cull, and I don't have a good name for the comic yet, so I'm just going to call it that. So for the purpose of like naming the videos and stuff, I'm just going to call it Cull comic, and I'll number the videos from there. So here I've just jotted out an idea for like the opening scene in the comic, at least the first like several pages. And as you can see, like if we could probably get 4 to 6 pages out of this, and it's just really simple ideas. I'm writing visuals for the most part. Dialogue, I try to avoid dialogue if possible. I mean, obviously dialogue is a thing, but I try to avoid writing out the dialogue unless it's like a really specific scene. Sometimes I fill in like ancillary dialogue in panels, kind of on the spot, and I don't have it like really scripted out ahead of time. So I've got a little bit of dialogue here, but for the most part, it's just pointing out like visual cues. Because when I think about comics in my head, I mentioned that it plays like each panel is like a GIF, like kind of like a brief animation. So I have these kind of animated sequences in my head, so I just write those out to get them on paper. So when I look at it later, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, so that's the visual idea I had. So in the opening scene, we're gonna jump right into some action with Cull battling this monster type thing. And I'm not gonna read through all of this. If you really want to read it, I'll bring it up close to the camera, and you can pause it. There's, I guess, potential spoilers. I don't know if that's a thing that you care about, but if you want to read it, go ahead and pause it, like now-ish. Now would be good. Like now's a good time, so you can pause and read, and then we can come back to it. What I'm going to be doing for the video today is doing some quick thumbnails. So I've got all my stuff written out here. I'm going to do some thumbnails on this side and kind of just get a general idea of how many pages this is going to be, and then you can move stuff around. I like to kind of keep everything in one place. So if I'm drawing thumbnails, or I'm taking notes on one page, I'm drawing thumbnails on the other page, and kind of, vice versa, whatever. So I've also got this. This is eventually what I'm going to be drawing the comic on. It's going to be smaller because I wanted to do a smaller comic. When you scan it, you can make it any size you want, really. So I've been comfortable drawing small for the tiny comics that I've been doing. So I'm going to do, this is not quite tiny comic size. It's 5.5 by 8.5, but it'll work. It'll work. I'm not particularly strict about sizing things, like making things a proper size. I think that's just annoying, and there's really no reason to do it other than, oh, well, that's how it's done. Well, no, I'm going to do it my way, if that's cool. So we're going to open right up. In the first scene, I want it to be a big panel. I always like opening with big panels. I might even go bigger than that, but Cull is going to be trapped under this big, like, fleshy mass thing. We don't know exactly what's going on here. but she's getting squished, so we want to show her in distress, so she's like pushing up against this thing, or it's pushing down on her. So that's where like the wrinkles and the folds are coming in. And don't like to do a lot of detail for thumbnails, just pertinent stuff. I work off my thumbnails later when I'm drawing the actual thing, so it's important to get like just the main details in, because the way I draw, I fill in details as I go, so making sure every little detail is in place is not super important, unless there's one really specific like visual detail that's, you know, super pertinent to the story and like can't be missed, then I'll draw that in. But for the most part, I do a lot of squiggles like this, stick figures. I spent like just a few seconds on that, 10-15 seconds. I don't know, maybe more, maybe less. But that's about as much time as I like to spend, and as much detail as I like to put in. So she's trapped there. And we're going to see her getting smushed under there, and then we're going to see, like, briefly her point of view. Because this helmet, as I talked about, it's got, like, Iron Man shit. Then we're going to see the fleshy mass, like, closing around and have the heads-up display kind of displaying, like, these warning messages. And it just looks like scribbles to me. Or it may just look like scribbles to you. It looks like scribbles to me, too, but... it may just look like scribbles to you, but when you look back at it later, you'll kind of know what it means. Even if it looks like nothing now, just the fact that you drew it out at one point is going to kind of like bring it back up for you later. And if it's like a particularly nonsense panel, like in case I do forget, I'll just write like, oh, it's the HUD display. And also when I'm doing thumbnails, if there's any dialogue that I think of in the moment, I'll pop it out right here and write out the dialogue. Or sometimes what I like to do is do like a number, right, with a bubble, so I'm not writing it in the panel, so I just got the visual going on here. So I write like a number that's like a 1, and then if I want to write dialogue here, I'll be like, oh, dialogue, right there. So I can write it all on the side without cluttering up my thumbnails. So that can be a pretty good idea. And then if I say another one here, I do 2 here, and do 2 here. But that's just for like example's sake. I'm not actually gonna use those for anything. So she's getting squished. We're gonna see her hands kind of in the foreground here as this thing is like pushing down on her with the heads-up display displaying all these like warnings and stuff. And she's got this gauntlet thing that makes like a shield. The shield, like, it's like a foam that hardens. I'm gonna call it the poly shield because that's a cool name. So this whole sequence basically, she's trapped under this thing. She's in a building, as you'll see the detailing in this panel once it's done. And she's getting smushed, so she's got these like concussion grenade things, and she's going to detonate one right underneath her, using the poly shield to shield herself to break through the floor and escape. So I'm thinking for this panel here, we got trapped, helmet HUD, warning indicators, grabs and uses the grenade, activates a shield. That's basically what my notes are right now. So I think I'll draw like a panel of still fleshy crap up here. Maybe show like her like leg pack with like grenades on it. Grenades there, and maybe she's like reaching back for it, and it's her hand right here. Kind of a close-up so you can see the detail of what's going on. We want to know that there's a grenade there that she's reaching for. In like visual sequences, they're like, you know, because I could straight right out here like, oh, I gotta grab a grenade and use it, blah blah blah. But I believe in showing, not telling, and that's a thing that's like commonly said in writing. Show, don't tell, especially with comics. Like, you don't have to tell them everything. You can just show them. Like, I'll just use visuals rather than using, you know, straight up dialogue to tell them exactly what's happening. Like, that's super boring. Like, I'm gonna punch you now. Like, no, just show them punching them. It's not a big deal. So we gotta have a scene where she's like contemplating using this thing. She's gonna be like, shit, like this is gonna suck. But it's her only way out. Like, it's either that or gets, you know, totally flattened by this fleshy mass thing. So let's hit up another big panel here. Drop it like over half the page. So she's getting smushed more and more. Fleshy thing is closing in. Looks totally gross. When I draw the details in, there's going to be all sorts of like goops and stuff in here. It's going to be just nasty. So yeah, because that's what I like to draw. The nastier the better, man. Nastier the better. So she's got the grenade. She's reaching back with the right hand, so I want to make sure continuity is good, and it's in her right hand. Well, no, it doesn't. That doesn't matter. She could have switched hands. That's not super important because the gauntlet thing that she's going to use, the polyshield, is on her right hand. So might as well have her pulling it with her right hand because she's going to have to drop it and activate the thing. So blah blah blah. This is like logistics I figure out in the moment. Sometimes I'll change it last second, but it doesn't matter. As long as you, the thing about thumbnails is it's all for you, right? Like you can include your thumbnails later so people can look at them, but thumbnails need to make sense to you. They don't need to make sense to everyone else. If they make sense to you, it's good. Anything after that is not super important. So as long as you know what's going on, then that's all you really need. It's just like, oh shit, I'm gonna blow myself up, man. And there's probably gonna be dialogue here. I'll decide what it is later, but it's like this is gonna hurt or something like that, and then we'll show a close-up of the, or at least a better shot of the gauntlet here. I drew this out at one point. I keep changing the details on it every time I draw it, so eventually I'm gonna have to like create a sheet for it so I know exactly what's going on, but I may need to simplify the design a little bit, but there it is. That's the gauntlet thing. It's going to crap out a shield basically at the last second. I think I'm going to use a whole splash page in the next page to show the scene off. So let's do the grenade here. Pin is out. That's right in the foreground here. It's been clicked off. And she's like, oh man, it's about to blow up. So he's got poly shield in the foreground here. And it's like, let's say it's like activating, like it's gonna start like flashing or something. I don't know, some sort of indicator. That's what I'm going for there. So that's a grenade in the foreground. She's gonna put her shield right up against it to basically direct the blast downwards. And that may sound like some crazy comic book shit, but hey, it's a comic book, so yeah, it's exactly what it is. So like if you don't know what's going on, like you can see faces in there, but that's pretty much the only detail that you can really see. So let's get one more thumbnailed in here, and then we'll call it a video, because we're getting to a good length right now. So just wanna share the process, and like so I've got the thumbnails here, and then in the next video maybe I'll just start drawing it. And then maybe I'll revisit kind of like note-taking as I go along and do some more videos. But I want, when it comes to chronicling a whole comic 10 minutes at a time, 15 minutes at a time, 20 minutes at a time, I'm going to have like a gazillion videos. So I'm not going to show absolutely everything on camera. But I definitely want to get like a good chunk of it. At least like the major points, I'm not going to show you me drawing out every single page. But like, like for the important points, then I'll bring up certain pages and talk about like specific scenarios. But drawing every single page on camera is like not reasonable. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be a journey for me. I haven't done anything like this before, so we're gonna have the shield popping up here and activating. So shield's coming on, and I think I need to make it bigger, or it's not going to look like it's going to protect her. So we'll just do it like that big, and we can even show like the grenade starting to like, maybe this is like literally a split second, like the grenade's already starting to burst. Like that would be a cool thing to show, right? Shooting out here. Boom. That's an explosion or something, I don't know. So yeah, there's some thumbnails. I mean, easy. That took me, just a few minutes to get these out, and now I have visual models for me to follow when I'm drawing the actual pages. So, if you're thinking about making a comic, try doing something like this. Like, it works for me. If it doesn't work for you, then that's fine. You know, try something else and see what works for you. I always see that. I'm always about you trying new things, and if you like it, use it. If not, try something else. That's what your artistic journey is all about. You know, I can't stress it enough. Find out what works for you. Don't assume that just because something works for someone else, it's going to work for you as well. That's how you get frustrated. Trust me, it's really easy for that to happen. So, cool. Hope you guys like this. If you guys have any suggestions or suggestions or anything, let me know. I'm always down to hear the comments. Specifically, like somebody commented saying the volume in the videos was too low in certain instances, and that's because sometimes I have to record kind of quiet. I don't have like a specific room or anything to record, but I'll be bumping the video up on my wow. I'm just tongue-tied all over the place. I'll be bumping the volume up on my videos from here on out, just so they're going to be easier to hear in general. So cool. Hope you guys have been liking it. I've been liking it. I'm itching to get into this comic, and honestly, I've been waiting to record before I started it. So I've been waiting for you guys. Yeah. So let's keep it rolling, and I want to make this cool comic, and I hope you want to see me make it. I hope you're doing well. I hope you keep doing well until I see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Love you, and bye.